Hello, and welcome to another episode of Pivotal Moments with Lolita. I have been so tickled about today's episode and today's guest. Oh my goodness, I just can't wait to just have start this conversation. So I have with me today Carrie Lee. I mean, basically, if you're old school and you know about Reading Rainbow, yes, she is today's modern day Reading Rainbow. Let's
Yes.
get into the conversation. Welcome to Pivotal Moments.
Thank you so much, Lilita. Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness. Now I gave a little bit of an introduction, but why don't you go ahead and just tell a little bit more about the amazing things that you're doing?
Well, where can I start? But okay, we will start with the show. I created this show, and we actually are in our second year now. It's the Read with Carolee show. And I became an author and I saw the way that children lit up when they actually were able to see the author. And like you said, I grew up with Reading Rainbow. I loved Reading Rainbow, but I was a little bit disappointed when I realized that the people that were reading the stories weren't the ones that wrote the stories.
Yeah.
So I've always been fascinated with learning about the authors, learning their backstories, and like even when I was got to early adulthood and I was reading the John Grishams and all of those
Yeah.
books, I always wanted to find out the backstory. I always wanted to find out about the author. So I figured, you know what? And we actually started locally, and I actually started wanting to introduce children to the authors in Northern Virginia, in well, actually not just Northern Virginia, but Virginia, D.C., Maryland, West Virginia, and we started at Girardi Coffee House, and um, COVID just shut things down. But we've been able to connect with so many authors locally and even internationally now. And we're bringing those authors and those stories, diverse stories, to children.
Wow. I mean, congratulations. I mean, that's
Thank
such a,
you.
yeah, it's such an amazing story. And you know what's interesting again, not to be telling my age here, but I remember being little, like kindergarten, first grade, and having story time. And
Yeah.
you are so right. Like if the author, and it didn't happen often, usually it was the teacher or like the teacher's aide or some like one of the parents would read to us, but every now and then they would have the actual author would get to read to us, and I just remember being like completely fascinated by it. So I mean, what you're doing is just so awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. I really, I like to connect with authors. I like to connect with our audience, the children, and really, see them be mesmerized and inspired to read. If I was able to know some of the authors that I grew up reading, I think I would have possibly gotten into children's writing a lot earlier.
Yeah.
I've always had the passion for writing, and my mother, the late Dr. Norma McPherson, she was a literacy coach. She was an early childhood educator, so I had book reports over the summer. So I always had to keep learning and things like that. So that just it just really magnetized me. And we grow up and we're always trying to find our passion. And I've gone through so many different things of saying, okay, all right, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. And when this came, it was like, okay, here I am,
Right.
you know. And I'm so glad that my mother and I were able to connect with that. And I always say, well, of late, that it was such a blessing. And I know I know how she felt about what I was doing. And she was actually at the first taping for the year at Girani Coffee House. So I feel that, that was her blessing on it. And to be able to go ahead, and she was the educator, and now in a way I am educating children as well. So that is just a great connection that I have with her that is definitely lasting, and I will be continuing this as long as I can.
I love it. Oh, wow. I love it. Well, excuse me, that is a great segue to the topic of our conversation of pivoting and pivotal moments. So, in this just journey that you've been on, what pivotal moment do you want to tell us about today?
Wow. I will have to say the pivotal moment of COVID. I all of this has really been a pivotal moment for me, but
Yeah.
really having to shift from, we were filming live in front of basically a studio audience, and having authors come and interact with the children that were there, and having this show go out from a local coffee house, and getting authors locally to now, when COVID happened and everything shut down, and we're like, okay, what am I going to do? And the good thing was, we recorded ahead, so we had enough shows until, I believe, April. And I originally said, okay, I'm going to do 26 episodes. That's half a year.
Right.
And we'll get into summer, and kids, they'll be all on vacation. So I can go and take my vacation too and start up again in September. And COVID happened, and it was just like, okay, no, kids need this, especially now. And I had to figure out a way for me to be able to connect with authors, record with authors. I use Zoom for my day job, in corporate America.
Yeah.
I didn't really know it that well.
Yeah.
I just jumped on the call, and then that was it. Now right. I'm doing a show via Zoom. What? Yeah. I'm recording with authors in Australia. What? I have to adjust my schedule to be able to, okay, I don't want you to be the author to be up at midnight recording with me their time. So, even with the authors that I recorded with in Australia, I was recording Saturday night my time, and they were recording Sunday morning their time. Wow. So yeah, it shows the level of commitment that they have to children as well. And it's been a great ride. And, there's a lot more that's coming, and I'm just like, okay. And I always say, when your passion finds your purpose, you'll just fly through. Mm-hmm. And it's been amazing.
Wow. That is so awesome. Awesome. Well, when we talk about, these pivotal moments, we find that there's usually that thing that's of central importance. And, those that watch the show know that we always come to this point next where we talk about that. What is that thing for you in having to make this pivot during this time? What did you discover was that central thing of importance that's unchangeable that you had to make the shift around that?
Well, the thing that I really had to make the shift around was really my kids. I'm a single mom, and I have an almost 6-year-old and an 8.5-year-old. So when I'm recording, and the good thing is I space it out. So, okay, I'll record an episode and then I'll go and, make sure they're okay. But the good thing is they are able to see mom grow.
Wow.
They're able to see mom work toward, something not just for me, but this is for them. My son was actually the reason why I started on my author journey, and, with everything that I'm doing. And I tell him all the time, like, mommy wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you.
Oh, wow.
So he knows that he has a stake in this. He has a great role in this. And even my youngest son, he is, I would say, honestly, he's my manager. They are so in tune with everything that's going on. And I don't think that we give kids a lot of credit sometimes. I am somewhat of an introvert now. And, if I have to go out, because they say, I've been told, always have a business card, go out and tell people what you're doing. I don't do that. My son does that.
Oh my God. That's so sweet.
Literally, we were standing at the checkout at the grocery store, and we're all masked up, and he's there talking to someone, and I'm there trying to concentrate on the checkout, and I'm just like, okay, COVID, why are you talking to someone? Why are you that close to someone else? He was telling the person about my show.
Oh my goodness.
He said, my mommy, she's read with Carol Lee, and she's doing this, and she's doing, and the authors come, and you should have your kids watch. And
so I said, precious.
So I said, okay, I guess this is time for me to reach for my business card because he's 5. And I know the lady was just like, what is he talking about?
Right.
So I had to say to her, this is what he's talking about. I have a show on YouTube. It's, I invite authors to read their stories. So he gets me talking. Oh, and the funny thing is I do marketing for a living, but I do digital marketing. So I don't really have to talk to too many people.
I gotcha.
Yeah. But he is my manager. And, a lot of people, I joke with a lot of people sometimes. I'm saying, hey, if you need to book me, you need to go through him.
Right. Yeah. I love it. Love it.
Yeah. So, that's the one staple, that this journey has been for my kids and has included my kids, and they take ownership of what I'm doing as well, and rightfully so, because this is something that they will be able to hopefully take on and be involved with in some form.
Yeah. Wow. I love it. Wow. So switching gears a bit, and you probably kind of touched on it a little bit, but we also talk about adjustment, and adjustment and pivoting, while they're very similar, adjustment tends to take on the tone of adapting to something that's usually uncomfortable, unfamiliar. So can you talk about, and I know you touched on with the Zoom piece, but do you have another example, or you want to expound a little more on when you've had to make the adjustment rather than the pivot?
Well, making the adjustment, with doing Zoom, not everyone is familiar. Not everyone likes it. And, it makes it a little hard sometimes to get someone to, get out of their comfort zone because they're
Yeah.
not in front of the children. You know,
Yeah.
you sometimes feed off the children's energy.
Mhm.
So the best thing, and, it's, I guess it's kind of what I am living for in this t-shirt and a tutu. It's kind of like they have to kind of play off me,
Yeah.
and I have to be that bubbly, person and have that energy, which comes naturally, thankfully. But
That's good.
yeah, I have to have the energy for them. If there's a author that seems kind of shy, or I just have to remind them, hey, you're reading to little kids.
Yeah.
And then if they can't get that, then you know what, I have to be that bubbly personality, and bubbly begets bubbly. and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we get into that. So that's the adjustment that um I've had to make, being kind of looking at a camera or looking at my phone really,
Right.
and having the author do the same. So that's the major adjustment, from going from um, recording at Girani Coffee House to now in
Yeah.
my cozy book nook.
Which looks fabulous.
Thank you.
And you saying that, it reminds me, I had another guest on one time, and she talked about showing up. And one of her things was uh, integrity. And for her, that meant showing up. It's like, this is what I've signed up to do, and I'm going to show up, and I'm going to
Mhm.
show up well.
Yes.
And that's what I'm really kind of hearing you even saying. Like you said, this is your platform, and whether it's at Girani Coffee House or in your home or at a park for that matter, you're going to show up because this is what's important to you, and you've committed to making sure that you show up and show up well. So
Yes.
I really like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as we come to the end of our conversation,
Oh,
I always have my visitors just share something that with the viewer, something that, directly from you, in addition to the amazing gems that you've shared. Just what would you like for people to know? What would you like to leave people with?
well, 2020 has been a doozy. And I know, with coming into a new year, and I, a lot of people are so glad to now be leaving this year behind. I know for me, it's been a year of ups and downs. I Earlier this year, I did lose my mother to metastatic breast cancer, and that was something that I I struggled with at first. I am her youngest child, so that was even more devastating for me.
Yeah.
And I really had to, I'm like, there's some people that may wallow in that situation, and there's some people that may keep the brokenness in that situation. And what I had to do was I needed to, I'm, and I would say, it's for her a little bit,
Yeah.
but I know that she wouldn't want me to stay broken. And sometimes we need to pick ourselves up. Bad things are going to happen, but it's all in the way that you look at it. And yes, I know. And some people may say, okay, you lost your mom. I'm like, okay, I lost my mom, but I gained an angel.
Hmm.
And even through everything else that has been going on, you know, COVID, different problems, like there are times that are just like, okay, how am I really doing all of this? You
Yeah.
have to take strength from what your purpose is, and know that tomorrow there actually will be a tomorrow for
Yeah.
you. And we just have to keep going and keep striving. And not to sound cliche, but look for the silver lining.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to find.
Yeah.
but keeping positive and knowing that, just continuing to go for what you need to. And if you need to hold on to something else, I know I need to be that person for my kids to have them look toward, to say, okay, all right, mommy did not break. She may have gotten bruised, but she didn't break. And I'm really looking forward to 2021, because I know with everything, with all the craziness that has happened, especially in my life, I am looking forward to 2021, because I know we're about to blow it out of the park. And I really hope that everyone continues to support Read with Carolee, continues to support our authors. And we have a lot more coming up. So I'm excited to, let the cat out of the bag. So I'm trying to keep tight-lipped about some things right now. But I am so I feel so good about the future. And I think, we all need to feel good about the future and know that if we're getting through this, we will get through it, and we can only be stronger.
I love it. What a refreshing and beautiful sentiment. And definitely sorry for your loss. I know that's hard, but to hear, the way that you're tackling it and the way that you are choosing to keep your eye on the positive things. And, no doubt, of course, there's those moments, but like you said, you don't let it keep you down. And it's an example that when we go through bad stuff, we go through painful things, and we can have those moments, but keep looking towards those times when we're going to feel better. Things are going to be a little brighter. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
You're a breath of fresh air.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Well, I'm telling you, it's really tapping into my inner child. And I've seen a few of the episodes. So, on Following Jirani TV, and then I get the notifications whenever there's a live airing. So I've seen a couple of them, and different people from in Prince William County and different ones. And I'm telling you, there have been times where I literally was just I'm the kid.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
These authors, and especially now, they are bringing it out. I am finding so many authors and so many books. And, one of the things that I'm really glad about, especially since, I can't really hide it, but I'm Black. So I have a lot of Black authors gravitate to me. And I am so glad to be able to showcase them and bring them out, because honestly, I didn't know that there were that many. And there are more coming. So keep submitting. And
yes,
who knows where we will go next for season 3. Ooh. But I am just so blown away and so knocked out from all of the authors that have been coming into my space, and that I get to promote and showcase to our audience. So I am very grateful for that.
Wow, that's so awesome. Well, everybody, make sure you follow. You see the links there. Make sure you're following her, keeping up to date. If you have kids, if you're an author, if you know someone that's an author, if you know someone with kids, whatever the case, be sure to follow, because it's amazing. And as you heard Carolee say, there's even more amazing things coming, and you definitely want to be there for the ride. So make sure you're following along. Well, Again, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your journey and your pivotal moments, and just again, just being so refreshing. And thank you for showing up and walking in your purpose. It really is inspirational to us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. And folks, you've been watching another episode of Pivotal Moments. As I said, make sure to follow Carrie Lee. And as always, thank you so much for supporting Pivotal Moments with Lolita. We will see you next time.